Hi everyone, and welcome to the sixth edition of In the Fox's Den. And this one has got a real sporting feel to it because we have the test match coming up on the 8th of July. And I'm very happy to say that we have with us today the voice of test match specials, Ask the Umpire, a cricketer in his own right with Hampshire, and then an illustrious career as an international umpire. Welcome to John Holder. Hi, John.
Hi, Rick. Good afternoon, and thank you very much for. Nice to see you.
Good to see you as well. How's things been in lockdown?
Lockdown has not been a problem. My wife and I, the boys have left home, so it's just my wife Glenda and me, and we haven't struggled at all. We've got a reasonably large garden, so we spend an awful lot of time in the garden. And one of our sons, Nigel, who lives nearby, he and his wife have been very, very helpful. They've done our shopping for us most of the time, and so we've had no problems at all. It's one of the benefits of being retired.
I'm nearly there, mate. I'm nearly there. No live cricket on TV, only recorded cricket, and I think you only like watching live cricket, don't you?
Yeah, I'm pretty philosophical, and the absence of live cricket hasn't really bothered me a lot. And I'm not one for going back and watching historical matches. I don't like to watch things that I've already seen or listened to. So the absence of live cricket hasn't really bothered me a lot. I had an awful lot of time first as a player and then as an umpire. I mean, one of the questions I've been asked repeatedly since retirement, is it 11 years this year, is do I miss umpiring? I said, no, I don't. And do I go to a place like Old Trafford? I don't, because I spent so many hours on the cricket field that I have no desire to go and sit down and watch cricket now. But I love the game. I always have and always will.
I have spent many an hour with you, John, and you are one of the most laid-back people I know. So I think I could take you anywhere and you'd enjoy yourself. So
thank you.
That's the pleasure of being with you, sir. So let's start with your cricket career, which started in Barbados and then moved on to England and Hampshire. So
yes, I mean I'm the fifth of six children, three boys and three girls, and Dad taught us all to play cricket in the street outside the house, and I just developed a real passion for the game. I just loved it, and with my two brothers and my cousins who live nearby, and the boys in the village where we were brought up, we played cricket at every opportunity, and I just developed from there, and I loved the idea of bowling fast, and so I played for my school. Got in my high school. I played in the second division, second team. Then I got promoted to the first team. And in those days, in Barbados, there are three boys' high schools that each put a team out in the island's first division competition. So you played against the big boys. And in 1960s, you played against test players. So in 1963, age 18, my school, Combermere, played against a club called Umpire, which is all adult men, captained by the former West Indies great batsman, Sir Everton Weekes. And their opening bowler was the frighteningly fast and aggressive Charlie Griffith, who the only concession he gave to us schoolboys was that provided we didn't get too cheeky, he didn't bowl bouncers, but he ran from the side screen, 90 odd miles an hour. And I remember, so it was a tough baptism. So from that, and really and truly, you only start to improve as a player when you play against good opposition.
Yeah.
So as schoolboys, you played on good pitches, and you're playing against players like that. So you don't want to get steamroller to oblivion. So you learn to fight, and So my cricket just developed from there, and aged about 18, around about that time, I started bowling genuinely fast. And I left school in 1963, didn't do particularly well academically. I just wasted my time playing cricket and athletics, and came to England in 64 to work for London Transport. And I joined a team of West Indians in London called Caribbean. So I played for them the summer of 1965. And I also played for the BBC. And playing for the BBC was a chap called Dr. Bertie Clark, who would bowl a leg spinner, who had played 3 test matches for the West Indies before the war. And he said to me then that he thought I was wasting my time playing club cricket, that I was too good, I should be playing first joiner county. So he recommended me to Hampshire. And at the end of March 1966, Hampshire, having seen me, had a trial in the indoor nets and raised a few eyebrows by bowling really very, very quickly. So Hampshire took me on in April 1966, and I had 7 years. In fact, those 7 years with Hampshire were probably, well, they were the best and happiest days of my career, because of the fellows with whom, my teammates. Hampshire were called the Happy Hants, HANTS. And we just had a fabulous camaraderie. So it was a pleasure to play with people like Gordon Greenidge and Trevor Chesty and the other teammates. So, and in those 7 years, most of the fellows with whom I played at Hampshire, we remain really good friends. So that was a very special time.
But I was horrified to hear, John, how your career really came to an end with a coach that tried to change your bowling style.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't feel, I was massively disappointed, but in those days, I didn't feel bitter towards him. In those days, the commonly held belief in coaching among coaches in England was that fast bowlers had to try and bowl sideways on. Like Truman had a beautiful, fluent sideways on action, and he was a top class bowler. So the coach, I used to bowl what you call open chested, but I could bowl at 90 odd miles an hour. And the coach tried to get me to get sideways on like Freddie. And it ruined my back. And I got out of bed one morning, 1970, Christmas Eve, and I couldn't stand. I could not stand. And my back was gone. So I was able to, with physiotherapy and help from my doctor, I was able to play part of the 1971 season. I started late because my back gradually got better. But it was never the same again, because what happened, I could bowl a reasonably fast opening spell, but then my back was stiffened up afterwards. So I played part of the 1971 season and part of the 1972 season. I had a reasonably good time, success on the field, to the extent that the West Indies Cricket Board invited me at the end of the 1972 season. The West Indies Cricket Board invited me along with other West Indians playing county cricket, like Gordon Greenidge, John Shepherd, Van Ben Holder, Keith Boyce, etc., invited us back to the Caribbean because the Australians were touring the Caribbean the winter of 72, 73. So I went, and my back just gave out. And so that was the end of my first class career. So I had then to write Hampshire and explain that my back was no good. There's no way I could play and bowl fast 7 days a week. My back was so bad. So that was the end of my first class career. But I stayed on in Barbados for a year and a half, and things didn't really go well for me. I didn't enjoy it. And, I sold life insurance for a company called Life of Barbados, but selling life insurance was not me. So I didn't enjoy it. And then, luckily for me, I got an invitation in early 1974 to come back to England to play for a club called Rawtenstall in the Lancashire League. So I came back then, and I had 9 years of playing professional cricket in the leagues of Lancashire and Yorkshire. And then, approaching my mid 30s, with my career coming to an end, and I felt dissatisfied with my lot. And I also started to miss first-class cricket. So I thought that at 36, 35, 36, I was too old to come back as a player. So I thought of umpiring, and that really was a masterstroke, because in terms of enjoyment, job satisfaction, it was a masterstroke really, because umpiring suited my temperament. And for me, umpiring at the highest level is not who can bowl the fastest. In fact, umpiring at the highest, cricket at the highest level is not who can bowl the fastest and who can hit the ball the hardest. It's a battle of wits between bat and ball. And it's absolutely fascinating to stand at the bowler's end and watch a great bowler, a Glenn McGrath or Richard Hadley, whoever, bowling to Sachin Tendulkar or Graham Gooch. And because cricket, as I said, cricket at that level is a battle of wits, and the bowler has got 10 fielders, and he sets a field to try and stop the batsman from scoring, and also to try and get him out. So he uses certain strategies like swinging the ball in, swinging the ball out, Yorkers, bouncers, whatever, all different things to try and confuse the striker and get him out. And the striker has got to he's got to try and counter the traps and score runs. So it really is fascinating.
That discipline is very different, isn't it? Through the different formats of the game, the one-day game, the 2020 game, and now this 100 game that we haven't seen yet in lockdown. But you still feel that battle is there, no matter what the format of the game.
Listen, the red ball, the big difference between the two formats is that the red ball swings. The white ball, if you're lucky enough, you might get 2 or 3 overs of swing from the white ball, and then it goes arrow straight. And it's easy then for batsmen just to line you up and smash you back over your head. You can't do that with a red ball consistently. I mean, you look at Alex Hales, hugely successful in white ball cricket, and Jason Roy, hugely successful in white ball cricket. But they struggle in red ball cricket because the ball moves. So white ball cricket, it demands greater technique and much greater discipline and concentration.
And it's brought the fans back, hasn't it? In terms in terms of certainly 2020, I know is always packed. I can never get a ticket to go and see Essex for 2020. They've always sold out by the time that I get there.
Because lots of people know they want to see 4s and 6s.
Yeah.
And they in addition to the white ball not swinging, they bring the boundaries in also, so the boundaries are even smaller. So it's easy to get boundaries now, much easier than playing red ball cricket.
Well, you certainly know a lot about the laws of the game, which is why everybody loves you on the Test Match Special and your Ask the Umpire slot, which, as I've said to you before, is the reason a lot of people listen. They prefer you to the actual cricket, I think, and I know people that have said that to me. Many people have actually said that to me, that they wait for your spot to come around. And of course, we did this book together.
Yep, You're the Umpire.
You Are the Umpire, which is the latest format of this book, which I'm proud to say that I agented for you and our teenage 85-year-old friend, Paul Trevelyan, who does all the illustrations. But no, you are incredibly knowledgeable about the game. And I should tell everybody that's watching this broadcast that on our YouTube channel, we also have a section called playlists. And if you go on to the playlists section, there are some little YouTube videos that are already on there to do with our guests. And there's a lovely one of you, John, which is just it's just sound from BBC Radio 5 Live's Test Match Special, where you've been asked about players with beards. I think the first question was what would happen if a player caught the ball in his beard. And the second question, which just made me roar with laughter, was you answering what would happen if two players got their beards caught up together. And it's that kind of question that you get on there, isn't it?
Well, the reality is, the first one with the ball being caught in the beard, as long as the fielder didn't deliberately move his beard to catch the ball, then the batsman is out.
I can't believe I've just heard the sentence from you, as long as he didn't deliberately move his beard.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Bizarre things that you get asked. But you do have to, obviously, there's some very, very strange things that happen in cricket. Hence that we got this book out. Because I'm going to show people the inside of this. There are some amazing questions in here, really weird and wonderful questions, and you know the answer to absolutely all of them, which is even
well. The reality, Rick, is that the 42 laws of cricket are very, very complex, and then in addition to the laws of cricket, you've got playing regulations as well. So so if you're going to umpire a match, you need to be au fait with the laws and the playing regulations, because at some stage you're going to have to make a decision, and so as not to end it with the egg on your face, you've got to know what to do. You've got to be able to answer the question and deal with it. Well, so
I want to get on to the test match that's going ahead in a few days, which is going to have some very different rules, and I definitely want to find out. I want to steal a march on Radio 5 Live, actually, and get your opinions before they do. That'll be a bit of a coup for In the Fox's Den. But first of all, I wanted to get a bit serious and talk to you about the time that you were approached with match fixing. And
yes,
some people believe that happens. Some people don't believe that it happens, but you can tell us that it actually does.
But it does happen, Rick, because wherever there's an opportunity to make money, you're going to find people getting involved. And in 1993, I went to Sharjah along with David Shepherd and Dickie Bird to umpire an ICC 50 over tournament between the West Indies, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka. And you had a round robin. First, followed by the final. And West Indies were dominant. And two matches before the final, which was going to be between West Indies and Pakistan, Pakistan nearly lost to Sri Lanka. And now the Pakistan team, Javed Miandad, former Pakistan great batsman and captain, he was there. He played, and he had invited me to go downtown one evening and to have some food in a flat, and then go down in a group of fellows and go down to a club. So I said yes, no problem. So the evening came, and this little Arab man, and came and picked me up at the hotel. This brand new Bentley, I was amazed, and he said, I've got this for my friends, so I drive my friends around in this car, but for my girlfriend, I have a Ferrari, he said. Anyhow, he took me to this. He took me to this apartment in downtown Dubai, and there were about 15 men there, and there were a couple of men servants, and they dished up some superb food, lovely food. So while we were eating, this Pakistani-born man came over to me, introduced himself as Mohammed Kolia, and started asking me about umpiring. So I talked about what my job and what I did and what it entailed, and then so I said to him, "Well, what do you do?" And he said to me that he was a member of a syndicate that shipped gold bullion around the Emirates and Pakistan and India, but they were also involved in betting on cricket. And I saw during the match, he and his colleagues were in a box at the Sharjah Stadium on the phone to the bookmakers, in Pakistan and India. So as the game fluctuated, the people would bet on the game as if, so in other words, at the end of the 10th over, what is the score going to be? How many runs, how many wickets, etc. So he then said to me that if Pakistan had lost the match that day, his syndicate would have lost $1 million.
Wow.
And that the following day, the last match before the final was going to be between West Indies and Sri Lanka. And because the West Indies were dominant, they'd won every match, he said to me, you're not going to be able to get any decent odds because the West Indies are so dominant. But if I could somehow conspire to allow the Sri Lankan openers to put on 85 runs, they'll pay me £10,000 cash. Well, I mean, my eyes must have opened so wide because maybe I was naive.
And this was 1993.
1993. And I said to him, I said, you got the wrong person. I said, I said, I do not umpire for money. I don't make decisions for money. I said, I've got to be honest to myself. I said, I'll be ashamed to do that sort of thing. And I said also, the three commentators were Michael Holding, Sunil Gavaskar, and Ravi Shastri. I said, I've got to make some funny decisions to be able to ensure that two batsmen put on a partnership, especially against the West Indies bowling attack with Malcolm Marshall, etc., etc. And I said, so the commentators will know. I said, the players will know. And I said, but for me also, it means that if I were to accept your offer for the rest of my umpiring life, I'll be waiting for you or somebody to ring me so that I've got to telling me what I must do in terms of decision. I said, I can't do that. I said, I couldn't live my life looking over my shoulder. So I said, thanks, but no thanks. But I didn't really think that it was a problem within the game. I didn't. Maybe I was naive until much later I heard of the Hansi Cronje match fixing business. And then it came back to me, really. And you see, the problem with match fixing is the people involved think there's easy money. Rick, there's no such thing as easy money. When you get involved with match fixing, you're like getting into a spider's web. And there will always be, where you do things like that, you always leave a trail behind you. You can't obliterate the trail. It's there for and at some stage in your career, it's going to come out. And imagine the shame for my wife. Your husband was a match fixer. My two sons, your dad is a match fixer. My friends, your friend is a match fixer. I couldn't live with that. So I just said no.
I can understand that. And I think we're all very pleased that you did the right thing that day. I mean, there's even Australian cricketers now, obviously, who regret ball tampering. And all of those are just taken apart by the media.
But you see, the ball tampering by a player is so ridiculous. It's so arrogant because look, I umpired my last Test match at Lord's in 2001 Australia. There were 28 cameras on the ground covering the match, and as a player or an umpire, you have no idea if the camera is on you or not. So you've got to be whiter than white. You just can't do things because with a super slow motion and the number of cameras, you have no idea. If you do something out of the ordinary and certainly illegal, you're liable to get exposed and ridiculed. So the Australian players was a combination of arrogance and stupidity.
I think there's certainly a lot of regret there now, and I think it gave the Australians, dare I say it, a little bit of humility as well,
Absolutely.
Which was badly needed in that team that they had. Let's move on to the Test match that's just going to come up. It starts on July the 8th. The first test is somewhere you know very well, at Hampshire's ground. This is going to be a very different set of rules, isn't it, John?
Yeah, there are a couple of rules that have been brought in. Well, there's one. Well, first of all, traditionally the players shine the ball by either putting perspiration or saliva. Well, with this coronavirus now being as rampant and deadly as it is, the ICC has actually issued a directive that there'll be no saliva on the ball. So players have got to be aware of that. There is also another playing regulation brought in where any player during the course of a match who, because the players are going to be tested, I think, on a daily basis. So any player who contracts or is advised to step down because of the possibility of contracting COVID, he can be replaced by another player.
Yeah, because this is something that I don't think people have properly realised, that where cricket is different, where you've got football obviously is 90 minutes, rugby is 80 minutes, but with a test match where you've got 5 days, someone can actually test positive on one of those days halfway through a game.
That's right. Yeah. So the ICC to try and reduce the chances of the team being inconvenienced, they've brought in this playing regulation. But this is a special regulation because of these conditions.
Do you think?
So when we go back to normal, I think there'll just be normal rules and laws of the game again.
Do you think they've made the right decisions around this test series, or do you think they've made mistakes? Would you have done things differently?
Well, I think it's difficult. I mean, I am waiting to see. I'm really interested to see if there's going to be social distancing involved. As for the players, because you got Jimmy Anderson, a great swing bowler, with a new ball. Are you going to tell him that between the wicket keeper and first slip, you've got to be 6 feet apart, and between first slip and second slip, 6 feet apart? So I'm just interested to see how that's going to pan out. Also, you've got a bowler bowling from close to the wicket. Are you going to tell him, as the umpire, going to tell him, you can't come so close to me? You've got to bowl from the edge of the crease. So there are little things like that. You've got to spin bowler bowling, and you've got silly point, you've got forward short leg. I just want to see how the players are going to operate with the social distancing.
Yeah.
The people have talked a lot about the crowd involvement. Well, look, the reality is that once you step on the field of play as an umpire or player, your focus is on the job in hand. So you're out there in the middle and you're not aware of the crowd because you're focused on what you're doing as a player or an umpire. So the lack of crowd should not adversely affect the intensity of the match.
No, the only difference there, I think, is probably the outfielders won't be hearing some of the abuse that they get or having to sign autographs, depending on whether they're liked or disliked.
Well, the lack of abuse will be a good thing.
Listen, I'm gonna come back to our book.
Yes.
This wonderful book, because it's still on sale. It's still on Amazon. We're gonna put a link to where you can buy it, because there is no doubt that you are incredibly knowledgeable. You get asked some of the most bizarre questions, and you've always got an answer. I take it that you're going to be doing Ask the Umpire during this series for.
I don't think so. I think that because with lockdown, when the players go in, all the players and officials, including the media, are going to be locked into those grounds for the entire duration of the match.
So I've got a real coup here, John, then, because all these people that are going to be tuning in to hear your dulcet tones, the only place that they can actually hear them and see you is here.
Absolutely.
That's brilliant. I'm very happy.
Normally by the end of February, the there's a chap called Adam Mumford who was like the manager of TMS, and by the end of February, March, he would have approached me about offering me which matches I'm going to stand in, which I was going to commentate in. I've heard nothing from him, so because of the lockdown now, I am not expecting to be invited to do any.
Well, you wait till the complaints start coming in, and they start saying, "Where's John Holder?" They'll soon have you back. They'll soon have you on the phone.
No, they're going to have to do something exceptional to be able to do that. So it'll be interesting.
Well, they're going to have to contact me. I'll say, "No, I've got him now. You're going to have to sign some kind of contract." John,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for this. It's always wonderful to be in your company. It's lovely to do this with you. I will watch with great interest this test series, and keep in mind all the things that that you say, because everybody listens to every word that comes out of your mouth, me included. Stay safe. Love to the family. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Rick. Thank you, Rick. Thanks to you and Bev as well. All the best.
Take care.
Bye-bye.